a man who refused to perform at the White House with Nixon.
Talk about it.
Nixon put him on a communist list in the 60s. How could a man who was being watched by the FBI every day be raping and drugging in the 60s or 70s, especially a black man?
Money on my mind, 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 money on my mind. So money is all I think of. Money on my mind, money on my mind.
What up, it's Hugh Flynt, Playboy the Hustler, and welcome to my page, Hugh Flynt's Philosophy. If you've been here before, you already know what it is, and if it's your first time, I'm gonna need y'all to bang that like button, bang that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell so y'all can rock with me every time I drop a new video. Now, today I'm gonna be getting into my boy Bill Cosby, free man, finally out the bing. Yo, shout out to the Supreme Court, the highest court, the only court that really matters. Now, I didn't follow the case. I'm glad I didn't because it's way too many layers, and I'm glad I didn't waste my time. But now that he's out free, we got the opinion of the Supreme Court, we got the full scope. Basically, they go over the whole case.
This was the most unfair trial of my career. Consider the following. First of all, they did not file the case in time. It's what is called a statute of limitations issue. We did our research and proved they didn't file this case on time. We filed our motion and all our evidence, and the judge refused to have a hearing on statute of limitations. That's what we call a jurisdictional issue. The case should never have been tried. There was no jurisdiction, but the judge wouldn't even have a hearing on that.
He was 3 years into a 3 to 10 year sentence. Now, even though people like to throw around and play with the words and say he was accused of, graping and, all types of other words they're spinning, he was actually convicted of indecent assault, aggravated indecent assault. That's what he was convicted of. All right. So I know a lot of people play around with the words, but let's be clear. He was convicted of aggravated indecent assault. All right. So he's free because it was a dirty case. And anybody that knows about cases knows that anytime that you cannot break the law to uphold the law. You cannot do a dirty search just because you know there's something in the trunk. That's breaking the law to uphold the law. That is against the law, and you will corrupt your whole case, right? So they freed him. The Supreme Court freed him based on two things. One was non-prosecution agreement. There was a non-prosecution agreement. All right, and then the other one was prior bad act witnesses. So let's go over what this non-prosecution agreement was. The Montgomery County District Attorney, Bruce Castor, had agreed to not file criminal charges if Mr. Cosby provided a sworn deposition in a civil case. So in a separate case, he was like, just do the deposition, tell us what happened, and we won't file any charges criminally. Now, this is what the DA told Bill Cosby, years ago. And it says, in those depositions, Cosby admitted to providing pills to Andrea Constand. She was the original accuser, the original woman that came forward. He provided pills to Andrea and women. He admitted to having a romantic interest in Constant and that they had engaged in consensual smashing activities. All right. It was consensual, according to Bill, 3 different times, including the night she accused him of giving her pills. These statements were used as evidence in both the first trial, which ended in a hung jury, and the second trial, which he was ultimately convicted of indecent assault.
Second of all, the prior district attorney of Montgomery County testified under oath that he made an agreement with Mr. Cosby's prior lawyers that Cosby would not be prosecuted, and because he was not going to be prosecuted, he should take a civil deposition. This issue is before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, okay?
Basically, he got finessed into making a statement. He was told that, hey, if you make this statement, no charges will come criminally, all right? So they were never supposed to be released publicly, and they damn sure wasn't supposed to be used in trial to incriminate him. So here's the funny part. The original DA that made this deal, DA Bruce Castor, never even prosecuted Bill Cosby. Let's get into that. It says Castor would later testify that he made the decision not to prosecute Cosby criminally because of what he called defects in the case. He was also concerned that there wasn't enough evidence to convict. In his view, Andrea Constand's delay both diminished the reliability of any recollections and undermined the investigators' efforts to collect forensic evidence. He also said that he found inconsistencies in Constand's statements. He concluded in a press statement that there was insufficient, credible, and admissible evidence upon which any charge against Cosby related to Constand incident could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So there was just too many holes. You know, from her story to whatever else, the DA felt like we cannot even pursue this criminally. All right, so that's why he backed out originally. I think his bosses came along and said, not only are we going to pick this case up, forget the reasonable doubt. We don't care about the deal you made with him, none of that. They took that, they used that illegally. Here's the other reason. And they didn't even need this second reason. Just based off of them using Mr. Cosby's statements from the deposition, just that makes it a dirty case. But then they got something else called prior bad act witnesses. So it says 5 women who accused Cosby of assaulting them in the 1980s testified in the second trial. Remember, the first trial was a hung jury, and you know why it was a hung jury. We know why now. So they testified in the second trial. Despite Cosby's legal team's best efforts to prevent this, the state court, right, the PA state court, ultimately allowed it, saying that it demonstrated a pattern of behavior. It should be noted that whether to allow these types of witnesses can vary from state to state. In Pennsylvania, it is legal to call this type of witness. State to state, right? And this is why the Supreme Court is the highest court, and it's the only court that matters, because even though it's state to state, the Supreme Court decided that this was dirty.
So why are you allowing 5 women, none of whom were in criminal cases against him, to come in and testify in a case that involves someone else as the alleged victim, not them? It was purely done to prejudice the jury. It was purely done to deny Bill Cosby a fair trial. And if you put all of this stuff together, it was the most unfair trial I've ever been part of.
They concluded that this was a dirty play to let, all of these witnesses come in and say, whatever they wanted to say. Not that they weren't telling the truth, but they should have had their own case if they really felt as though they were wrong. Right? How you gonna jump into somebody else's trial, just to tell your side? And then the funny thing is that Bill couldn't even say nothing because he did the deposition. It had a play on his Fifth Amendment rights. It was just crazy. Like, it was just a dirty case. And it's funny because a lot of people were saying it was a dirty case, but like I said, I wasn't following that. But a lot of those clips are coming out now that it was a dirty case the whole time. And a lot of people, prosecutors, other lawyers, they was looking at it and they was just like, this is bananas. All right, so the Supreme Court said that in its 79-page opinion that the moment that Cosby was charged criminally, he was harmed, adding he must be discharged immediately, and any future prosecution on these particular charges must be barred. So it looks like these particular charges are gone. Anything that was in this case in particular is gone. New charges, of course, can come. So that's what happened. That's kind of the gist of why he is free now. The case was just dirty. And now I'm gonna give my opinion, all right? So without minimizing anything, assault is wrong, breaking the law is wrong. Anytime you do any crime, you need to do the time, period. All right, I don't want to minimize what people went through, or I don't want to minimize the type of trauma people go through and what this did for people that've been through similar situations. I ain't gonna get into all that. It was wrong, and he did 3 years. Let's be clear. All right, now he's guilty. He's guilty of giving them girls pills. All right. But the problem was the prosecution broke the law to prove it, which you cannot do. It's just as simple as that. And the funny thing about that is, when you dirty up a case like that, not only do you dirty up that case, but you dirty up anything else you touch. So the judge that overlooked all of this, they have to relook at this judge's all of their cases. The DA that overlooked all of this, they have to look at all of that. They have to look at all of their other cases. And, if I had that DA on my case, I'm hiring a lawyer immediately. Like, get me out because the DA is dirty. If I had that judge, the judge said, get me out of here because that judge is dirty. So we get all of that, right? He's guilty. But when we look at the whole scope of what he's guilty of, a lot of people are charging him with other stuff. Okay? And that's kind of where it's like, nah, let's get to the bottom of this. Really, what he did was he provided pills, and drinks and whatnot. When it comes to engaging in adult activities while intoxicated, we've all done it. That's just what we do as adults. Most of the time, there's gonna be alcohol involved. Most of the time, when we doing them adult things, yeah, it's adult liquors involved, adult drinks involved. And I'm not 100% sure on what he meant by consensual. Was it just what they did after the pills was consensual, or was he saying that she consented to having the pills? Because let's be clear, if Shorty asked me to roll up, I'm roll up. You asked me to roll up, you asked me to pop a bottle, we got a bottle right here, pop, ready to rock and roll, because that's what we doing. We adults, we grown. So if two people meet at the bar and they get it in drunkenly, they're going to be looking at the man sideways as if to say, well, you should have got consent. Well, why couldn't she get my consent? And a lot of people say equality, but it's not equal. And this is a prime example, because here's the thing. Who got who drunk? And I'm not even talking about Bill no more. I'm talking about all of us adults in the world. Who got who drunk? Who got who high? Whose house are we over? Are these the determining factors? Is it because they was at his house? Is it because he popped the bottle? I mean, if I go to a woman's house and, she pours me some Henny because she know how I get down when I get that Henny in me. She, hit me with that plate of food, hit me with them shots of Henny. Who did the indecent acts? All right? Who did the aggravated indecencies? All right? She got me drunk so I could take her to Pound Town. And I'm in trouble? I'm indecent? So we got to look at that. What exactly makes a man more accountable than a woman in certain situations? All right? Let me know what y'all think, man. Hit the comment box. Let me know what y'all think. At what point, what makes who guilty? And, what are we talking about here? Because, to me, if we're both adults, and we're both drunk, neither of us can consent. So it kind of, to me, it kind of needs to be X'd out unless we're talking about some forceful stuff. Now, if we're talking about some forceful stuff, then that's where you get into all the man overpowered the woman, blase, blase, right? But if we're just talking about getting it in, you know, we're talking about a woman waking up the next day and regretting what she did. Come on, we not, you know, boys can't be going up the way to sit down for 3 years because people want to change their mind, because people want to have regrets. That we can't be doing that, man. That's not a good look. That's not a good look. It's not a good look, B. The ex-cons get a hard time in this space. And one thing that history has taught us is that regardless of what's true, what's false, you know, what's good, what's bad, the government will do what they want. They will do what they want. A lot of people say the truth will set you free. No, it will not. No, it will not always set you free. A lot of times you got to sit for 3 years to even provide the truth. All right, he had to sit for 3 years just to be able to provide this truth. We're up against so much, and a lot of people, y'all got to understand that we up against a lot. You know, we're born in the mud. It's an uphill battle from the jump. You know, he's getting out, he's home, he's free, but his name is through the mud. So that's why, you know, when I say, I'm gonna say Trill Cosby. Because, you know, he kept it trill. He didn't go to none of them. He didn't go to none of them classes. I'm not doing none of that. He maintained his innocence and went all the way to the Supreme with it and finally was able to present his truth. But a lot of times, a lot of guys can't afford to go to the Supreme Court. A lot of guys got to sit in the county or sit in the states or sit in the feds. A lot of guys get, you know, a lot of their finances stripped from them. You know, they could take your money and say it's an ongoing investigation. And you just got to sit. And now you got to find some other legal money to pay lawyers with. And so, you know, and I'm not saying that everybody should be let free or none of that. I'm just saying that you can't, you know how they say you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't judge a person by their record. You don't really know what happened. You don't know how dirty these DAs is. You don't know how dirty the system is, how dirty these judges are. A lot of people, especially the people that never dealt with the system, don't understand how dirty it is, man. But this is one example, one clear example of how, you know, the dirt got dug up. And if he didn't have enough money to go to the Supreme Court, he'd still be sitting. Let's be clear. If he didn't have enough bread to go to the highest court, he would still be sitting. And with them rejecting his parole hearing because he refused to go to those great classes, ain't no telling how long he been sitting. He might have had to do the whole 10. He might have died in there. You heard me? So, you know, you just can't judge somebody because of their jacket. I mean, it's just like, you just don't know all of the facts. Like, you only know what they present to you. And what they presented to us is that, you know, he was defiling these women. And so, you know, but now that we look at the whole scope, we know, oh, okay, there's a lot more to it. Not that he didn't, but there's just a lot more to it. There's a lot more context. Regardless of whether he did enough time or not, or how you feel about the case, the agenda is real. And we know this, man. So the one thing we can't do is let anything divide us, including this. People are going to feel the way they feel. Facts are facts. You know, he did 3 years. He's home. It's a wrap. And at the end of the day, we as a people got bigger problems. All right. So that's my video for today on my man Bill Cosby. You already know what I'm going to need y'all to do. Bang that like button. Bang that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so y'all can rock with me every time I drop a new video. You heard me?